This week's episode of Tokyo Ghoul continues to build on the mystery and intrigue on the revelation behind what exactly Kaneki is trying to do. They actually get into it in this week's episode, which was sort of like a downtime episode, just getting to learn a little bit more about some of the new characters like Sen Takatsuki, who seems like she's completely insane, and I'm almost fully convinced at this point that she's going to be one of the main adversaries of the series. She seems to be sort of like putting people in their place, so to speak. She's sort of playing chess with people's real lives and sending them into some dire situations. What I mean by this is that this Sen character has actually sent the doves towards the Onteku coffee shop. There's that one investigator, and then there's Juzo. In fact, I really love the confrontation between Sen and Juzo this week because they barely say a word to each other at all, and you can tell that Juzo knows that something's not quite right about this girl. Either that, or he's completely fallen in love with her. Speaking of falling in love, one of the biggest things about this week's episode involves the characters of Toka and Hinami, and them getting ready to see Kaneki again. Now, at first, I was thinking that maybe Hinami was actually in love with Kaneki, which that almost seems like where it could be going with this. However, the way he was portrayed in the first season really just made him seem like he was an older brother for Hinami, and in a way, she's sort of living vicariously through Toka, who I do believe actually does have strong feelings for Kaneki, and it's in this week's episode that you actually get to see them have their first major confrontation since the very first episode of Tokyo Ghoul Route A, and unfortunately, it doesn't really go anywhere. However, I have to admit, I was on the edge of my seat when they finally met each other again for the first time. Toka ends up getting completely pissed off and ends up just jumping right on top of Kaneki and wailing on him and lamenting over the fact that why did he have to change? Why did he have to join Aogiri group? And she even screams that he should never return to Onteku. However, this week's episode did see the return of Tsukiyama, who is as over the top as always. I especially love the scene where he brings Hinami to the coffee shop and he goes to take a bathroom break. And it was funny because Hinami and Sen were able to have a conversation while he was in the bathroom the entire time. And while all that was going on, I kept thinking to myself, damn, what the hell happened to Tsukiyama? Did the dude just fall in? And you really get to learn while he was in the bathroom so long because he was huffing Kaneki's blood. He is still completely obsessed with the smell or the taste of Kaneki. He even comments on this when he goes to Onteku and even makes a very big and flashy El Dorado stylized entrance. I think my favorite thing about this week's episode though was most definitely the artwork and the imagery. I especially love how the episode opened up with Kaneki completely freaking out, being in this big black room with puddles of blood all over the floor, when suddenly both Rize and Jason start to climb up from the blood and claw their way up to Kaneki's face. It's really disturbing and really sets the tone for the rest of the episode. But let's talk about some theories. There's that new character by the name of Sen Takatsuki, and I really don't know where they're going with this character because she doesn't really seem to have an official affiliation with like any of the main groups. She almost seems like she's trying to do things on her own. However, after seeing her mannerisms, her smile, and just the way she reacts and the way she's been talking to certain people, leads me to believe that she might actually be that little creepy mummy girl who's actually been hanging out with Kaneki, and I think that would be interesting. Another thing that I really loved about this episode was later in the episode when they went to the Onteku shop, both Juzo and the other investigator, the big guy actually noticed that the old guy who runs the shop kind of reminds him of the owl, which still leads me to believe that the old guy is indeed the owl and he simply just has the ability to amplify his power. I just really can't wait to see where that's going and why he decides to use those crazy abilities. I mean, they're really trying to make it seem like that's who that character is. At least that's the clues that they're giving in this show. So, what's the rundown? On this week's episode of Tokyo Ghoul Route A, another pretty decent episode right here, which is basically just giving us an excuse to see some of these side characters from the show, and getting to learn a little bit more about Kaneki and really what the hell he's doing. And frankly, I still think there's going to be a bigger explanation behind the whole fact that he decided to join Aogiri outside of he just wanted to become strong. There has to be a lot more to this. And other than the imagery and all the scenes with Tsukiyama this week, I do love how that character of Sen actually sent those guys to the Onteku shop and is sort of setting them up because she was actually asking them if a ghoul could actually become a ghoul if a human had those organs transplanted into their body. And then boom, what happens later at the coffee shop, the investigators learn something big, and one of the biggest pieces of evidence ends up falling right into their lap, and I think that was pretty interesting. Otherwise, not really too crazy here. You know, the animation and the artwork is very standard. This is not a very big, bombastic, action-filled episode. It was just an excuse to show off these strong characters characters from Tokyo Ghoul. So I still think this was a pretty decent episode, but it's definitely a setup, and, you know, considering that this half of the series is only supposed to be about 12 episodes, we're already a little over halfway there. So we're getting real close to hopefully what is going to be a real bombshell of a finale for the second season of Tokyo Ghoul Route A. This week's episode for me personally was just sort of okay. I kind of wish we could have gotten a little more explanation behind Kaneki and why the hell he decided to join Aogiri, and I would have loved to see the conversation that he actually had with the owner of the Anteku shop, but they have to keep a little bit of mystery in there. Otherwise, this week's episode had some nice creepy imagery, lots of cool Toka and Hinami moments, so if you love those characters, you're totally going to dig that one. The Tsukiyama scene where he's huffing blood is ridiculous, and this brand new character of Sen Takatsuki is really interesting. It's almost as if Juzo has actually met his match. So I'm going to give this week's episode a 3 out of 5. Very simple but interesting episode, which is planting the seeds for some big developments later on in Tokyo Ghoul Route A. Check it out, guys. Good stuff. Thank you guys for watching my review. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and like the video. And before you guys leave, please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Tokyo Ghoul Route A in the comments section below. And remember, if you guys have not subscribed to our channel, you can do that by clicking on the channel icon right up here. Make sure to also follow us on social media like Facebook and on Twitter. And make sure to check out our brand new video podcast series, The Powerful Nerdcast. Episode 4 will be in the description box below and at the very end of this review. Thank you guys for watching. Super Kami Guru 9000. Out.